Hello, I'm John Talbert, Director of Professional Services for BigFix here at HCL. If you're looking for me after the recording, you can find me on the forum under the username of Brawley33. That QR code will take you directly there. Speaking of the forum, that's actually the source for this the topic today, and that's interacting with a BigFix end user. Don Port Jr. had asked the question. If you're looking now, the question's already answered out there on the forum, but figured it deserved this video. So Don Poor asked, how does he get the BigFix agent to interact with the end user that happens to be sitting at the laptop or desktop that a BigFix action is running on? It's a little bit tricky. You got to know a new command, or it might be new to you, in order to get the agent, which normally runs as local system or root, to interact with the end user. To show you that, I'm going to take you over to the BigFix server I got running here. This is a 2016 box running BigFix and a couple of little test boxes. I'm actually going to take action directly instead of creating Fixlet, just for brevity's sake, but you could do the same technique inside of Fixlet. Let's get you to a custom action here. I am going to target the one machine that's running in my environment right now, this Brawley test box, and I'm going to go directly to Actionscript. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, you know my keyboard is like thunder. So I'm going to save you the clatter of typing, and I'm going to steal the answer, and I'm going to paste it in here. But I'm going to go through kind of section by section and let you know what these commands are doing. So the first piece, this is just creating in the append file, which is a special file for the agent. It's putting some lines in. Those lines are eventually going to be a batch file. In batch language, you can use this set command, set/p, to prompt the end user to type something in. The second parameter here is the uname. This, I call it uname. You could call it anything you want. This is just what your variable is going to be called. And then after the equals here is what the user will see as the prompt. The second line here will also be in the batch file. We're just using an echo command. We're going to echo this variable, this uname variable, and it's a variable, you know, because it's inside of these percent signs. That's another batch file convention. And we're going to redirect that echo command into a file. This file has to be accessible by the end user because it's going to be their security context that these get performed under. So in this case, I'm just throwing it on the root of C drive. Next two lines, we're going to copy the append file into the mybat.bat. You could call it any batch file name you wanted to. If I run this twice, though, this line's going to fail because the batch file is already there. So in order to prevent that, I'm going to delete that same batch file before I do that copy. It's just a safety thing. Now, if I didn't have these two lines, 5 and 6, override run and run as current user, and I just skipped right to run, this would still fire, but the end user would never see this batch file running. It would just sit there lingering forever. Another nuance here, I'm using override run instead of override wait. If I was to do something later on with the contents of maybe the user input.txt later in the action script, I might want to consider doing a wait here so the agent waits until the end user puts their answer in and presses the enter key, the file gets written, and then it would proceed on with the rest of the action. But in this case, use and run. These two commands are what makes the magic happen. Override run and run as the current user. This switches security contexts. Another nuance to this, when I'm using this run command, I'm actually not running the batch file directly. I'm running command exe, and I'm feeding it this /C. What that does is it makes sure it closes the batch file window after the user's done with it, so it's not sitting there lingering for them to play with or be confused by. That's it. That's the whole thing. So when I target my server here with this action, okay, so it's fired away. Let me pull up, here's the agent log file. Oh, that went pretty quick. So just to look at the agent log, here's the action coming into the endpoint and all of the lines running. And you'll notice the actions actually ended in this case, even though nothing's been typed. That's because I used the run command instead of wait. Now we've got this thing up here and it's waiting for our interaction. And if I look at my C drive here, you'll see there isn't a user info.txt. So I'm going to type in be dutiful and type in my name, and there the batch file finished up. It put that information into this user input.txt, and if I look in there, Brawley 33 is what I typed. So your action could interact with this text file later on in an elevated fashion if you so chose. So that's the trick. Hope you've enjoyed this little tidbit from me. There are plenty more out there if you just check our YouTube channel. See you next time.